Welcome to Map Your Mind, where continents collide and winter winds carry stories carved in stone, where vastness isn't just a measure of land, but of soul, of pain, of glory, and of memory. Today, we cross into a realm of empires and revolutions, czars and tanks. This is the story of Russia. Russia is not simply a country. It is a world within a world, spanning 11 time zones and stretching from frozen tundras to sunlit shores. Russia rises like a riddle wrapped in legend. To understand it, we begin not in the palaces of emperors, but in the cradle of forests and rivers. Among the Slavic tribes who whispered their first prayers to the ancient gods, by the 9th century, a powerful federation emerged, Kiev and Rus, founded by Viking traders known as the From their capital in Kyiv, they blended Norse blood with Slavic culture, baptized their people in Byzantine Christianity, and laid the first stones of Russian identity. But empires fall. In the 13th century, the Mongols swept across the steppe like a storm. For 200 years, the Golden Horde ruled the land, demanding tribute and obedience. Yet in the shadows, a small principality began to rise: Moscow. By the late 1400s, under the iron will of Ivan III, known as Ivan the Great, Moscow cast off the Mongol yoke and claimed a new destiny, a destiny shaped by ambition, religion, and cold fire. The Russian Tsardom was born. Then came Ivan IV, Ivan the Terrible, crowned the first Tsar of all Rus. He built cathedrals like St. Basil's, but ruled with fear and fury. His legacy was a paradox, a brilliant expansionist, and a ruthless tyrant. Over centuries, Russia expanded like breath into the cold. Through Siberia and beyond the Urals, eastward to the Pacific, south into the Caucasus, west toward Europe, it became an empire built on fur, conquest, and survival. A land of peasants and nobility, of orthodoxy and autocracy. And then came Peter the Great, the reformer who opened Russia's windows to the west. He built a new capital on the swamps of the North St. Petersburg, a city of marble and frost modeled after Europe's finest. Russia had entered the modern age, but never stopped being ancient. In the 19th century, under Catherine the Great and her successors, Russia became one of Europe's great powers. It defeated Napoleon, expanded into Central Asia, and ruled over a tapestry of languages and faiths. But beneath the gilded domes of empire, unrest brewed, serfs lived in poverty, revolution whispered through underground presses. The czars tightened their grip, but the tide could not be stopped. Then came 1917, a year that cracked history open. First, the February Revolution ended centuries of monarchy. Nicholas II abdicated, and the Romanovs fell. Then, in October, Vladimir Lenin and the Bolsheviks seized power, and the world would never be the same. The Russian Empire died, and in its place rose the Soviet Union, a communist colossus built on ideals and iron. Civil war raged. Lenin died, and then came Stalin. Under Joseph Stalin, the USSR industrialized with ruthless speed. Famine, forced labor, purges, and fear swept the land. Yet so did steel, tanks, and victory. In World War II, what Russians call the Great Patriotic War, they suffered more than any other nation, over 20 million lives lost. But in 1945, the Soviet flag rose over Berlin. A superpower was born. But so was the Cold War. For decades, the USSR and the United States danced on the edge of destruction. Nuclear arms, space race, Berlin, Cuba, Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan. The world watched as ideology split the planet in two. Yet even as censorship ruled and dissent was silenced, Russians wrote poetry in secret, painted beneath the surface, and dreamed in quiet rebellion. Then came 1991, a moment of collapse. The Soviet Union fell, not with a bang, but with a breathless unraveling. 15 new nations emerged, and Russia, stripped, uncertain, grieving, began again. The 1990s were chaos. Oligarchs rose. Poverty deepened. But the spirit of the people endured. In the 2000s, a new leader took the stage, Vladimir Putin. He promised strength, stability, a return to greatness, and he centralized power, reviving the nation for some, stifling it for others. Today, Russia walks between worlds, part European, part Asian, part something all its own. It is both ballet and battlefield. It is Siberian wilderness and cyber warfare. It is war and poetry, exile and empire, silence and song. Fun fact, Russia is home to Lake Baikal, the oldest, deepest freshwater lake in the world. It holds 20% of all unfrozen fresh water on Earth, and its waters have been sacred for thousands of years. This is Russia, a land of thunder and frost, shadow and fire, where every whisper carries centuries, where history is never past, but present, breathing beneath the snow. Where will your mind travel next?